So when you think Silk Road, what comes to mind? Probably caravans, right? Piled high with shimmering silk, maybe some jewels, tons of spices. And yeah, you're not wrong. But what if I told you the biggest legacy of the Silk Road wasn't what people traded, but what they tasted? That's what we're digging into today, how this ancient network literally changed the way the entire planet eats.
I mean, that just says it all, doesn't it? This wasn't a highway made of asphalt and concrete. It was built on stories and flavors. It was so much more than just a trade route. You could almost think of it as like the world's first internet, a massive network for swapping ideas, traditions, and yeah, the really delicious stuff, the ingredients that would shape what we eat for literally thousands of years to come.
And that's the core of it right there. This wasn't just about adding a little cinnamon to a local recipe. No way. This was a total rewiring of the world's taste buds, a full-on food revolution that stretched all the way from China to the shores of the Mediterranean. So to really get this, we've got to stop thinking about the Silk Road as just a line on a map. Think of it more as, well, a journey of flavor.
And where does that journey kick off? It starts, like a lot of epic stories do, in the incredible ancient empire of China. Okay, so picture this. It's the 2nd century BCE. We're in Han Dynasty China. The thing that gets this whole ball rolling is silk. I mean, this stuff was so mind-blowingly luxurious to the West, it was literally worth its weight in gold. But here's the thing. Silk was just the key. It was what unlocked the door to something way, way bigger. The greatest treasure of all, a worldwide exchange of flavors. You see, these traders weren't just merchants moving goods. They were basically food ambassadors. Tucked away in their caravans, right next to all that priceless silk, were things like seeds, spices, fruits, and grains. And not just ingredients. They were carrying recipes and cooking methods, literally planting the seeds for what would become a truly global cuisine. And all of this exchange kind of funneled into these incredible hubs of action, these amazing oasis cities along the way. These places, they became the planet's very first fusion kitchens. Just try to imagine the markets in a city like Samarkand or Kashgar. This is where the real magic happened. You've got a trader rolling in from China with noodles, and he bumps into a Persian merchant with saffron and cumin. Suddenly, rice, this staple from Asia, starts its long journey to become part of Persian pilafs. Spices from India get mixed up with herbs from the Mediterranean. I mean, it was this incredible, chaotic, and totally delicious melting pot. You know, if you want a perfect example of how this worked, just look at the dumpling. It's the ultimate case study. And its journey starts right here, in China, with the classic jiaozi. But then, that idea starts to travel. As it moves west along the trade routes into places like Central Asia and Turkey, it changes. The fillings are different, the spices get tweaked for local tastes, and boom, it becomes what they call manti. And the trip isn't over yet. That same basic idea keeps moving west, and eventually it lands in Italy. And there, it gets transformed one more time into something we all know and love, ravioli. Think about that. One idea travels across 3 continents and gives us 3 totally unique, totally delicious foods. This whole process is what people mean when they talk about a kitchen without borders. It's this beautiful idea that for hundreds of years, the Silk Road was basically one giant open-source kitchen, a place where anyone could share, remix, and completely reinvent the world's best food traditions. All right, so as all these flavors and recipes keep creeping westward, they eventually hit what was, for many, the edge of the map, Europe. And when they got there, well, everything changed. But hold on, before those flavors made it all the way to Europe, they got refined, perfected really, in the incredible cities of the Middle East. You had chefs in places like Baghdad and Damascus who were absolute masters. They took these raw ingredients coming from the East, mixed them with their own amazing food traditions, and created these super sophisticated dishes like pilaf and these rich, complex stews. And those are the dishes that eventually blew the minds of everyone in the royal courts of Europe. And it's really important to get this. This was a two-way street. It wasn't just a flood of flavors heading in one direction. While the West was getting amazing things like rice, sugar, and all those exotic spices, Europe was sending its own treasures back east. We're talking beautiful glass, wine, amazing olive oil. It was a real conversation, a true exchange. And that really gets to the heart of what this was all about. The trading, the money, that was just the vehicle, you know? The real point of the journey was connection.
It was about people connecting with other people by sharing a meal, a flavor, a recipe, even when they were thousands of miles apart. Now, I know this might all sound like ancient history, but its impact is literally all around us. We are living with the legacy of the Silk Road every single day. You can find its echoes in your own kitchen right now. I like to think of it as the world's first potluck, or maybe the first global menu put together over hundreds of years. So, what did everyone bring? Well, China brought the noodles. India showed up with pepper and all the best spices. Persia contributed rice and pomegranates. The Arabs brought coffee and sugar, total game changers. And Europe chipped in with salt, bread, and wine. Put it all together, you've got a feast for the entire world. And that legacy is it's undeniable. You know the stories about Marco Polo bringing pasta to Italy? Well, that's a direct connection to this whole exchange. Or think about tea. This thing that was once this super rare, exotic luxury item that had to be painstakingly carried along the Silk Road is now the national drink of Great Britain. How wild is that? That is one powerful legacy. And the timescale here is it's staggering. We're talking about more than 2,000 years of nonstop culinary influence. It's a story that's been slowly simmering for millennia, with every single generation adding its own little pinch of something new. So where does that leave us? As we kind of wrap this up, what does it all mean for you and me when we sit down for a meal? It means that food is never just food. Every single flavor has a story to tell. Think about it. Every spice in your curry, every grain of rice in your paella, every single noodle in your soup. It's like a dot on a map. And that map traces a path across deserts, over mountains, and all the way through time, connecting you, right now, directly to all those traders and chefs and cultures who came before us. Which leaves us with one last kind of amazing thing to think about. The next time you're eating, just pause for a second and consider the history that's right there on your plate. Are you just eating dinner, or are you actually tasting the journey of centuries? The Silk Road itself might be long gone, but believe me, its incredible story, well, that's still being told on our plates every single day.